Welcome to Blake Street Banter, where one of us knows what the word banter means, the other one's just along for the ride, and we are taking it back to the OG crew. What up, James?
What's going on? What's up? What's up?
We are not much. We were just talking off air, just like like we're both exhausted, we're both tired, we're both like just in the muck at our real life, but yet here we are, just trying to have some kind of fun, trying to resemble some kind of I don't know.
Well, baseball is back, baby. Baseball is the great equalizer. It makes life more enjoyable.
It makes life worth it, right?
And that's what I was gonna say, but I was like thinking about something lighter to say about it. But yes, that's exactly right.
Go big or go home. I think we should be doing that by now. Like, you should know that by now. Go big or go home, right? So, I mean, right on that cue, like there's a bunch of baseball happening. Like, so we can talk with the Dodgers. We can start with the Dodgers, and there's a whole bunch of stuff around that, and MLB's poster child and all that drama. I don't know if I want to get into that, but
there's so much drama that's happened in the last 24 hours. It's hard to digest, honestly.
Like, literally, the last 5 hours have just been nuts. So if you don't know, just go to Twitter and look up trending topics, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about. I don't think either one of us know enough to even comment on it, so we're not.
No, but yes, I'm not educated enough to dive into that.
Right, but did you watch the Dodgers Padres game this morning?
I watched a little bit of it. I watched the first pitch. Did you watch the first pitch?
No, I was not up that early. You're a crazy person if you're up that early.
All I can say about it is that there was a nice looking lady that threw out the first pitch, and the Dodgers dugout was very engaged in the conversation.
Today?
Yes.
I thought that was like earlier in the week. I thought that was like a spring training game or something when they were playing the Korea teams.
You might be right, but what I saw, I felt like it was today.
Okay.
Who did the Dodgers play?
The Padres.
Yes, exactly. So it was today.
Okay.
Yes.
That's weird because I'm pretty sure I saw that 2 days ago. But
okay. Well,
it doesn't matter. So I didn't see. You weren't watching it live though.
No, I was not. No.
Did you watch any of it before you got to work this morning?
No, I did not.
See, I did. It was like kind of cool. Like, my son's in this really cool spot, and he's like, "Dad, is there any sports on?" And like we have this one channel that's just on the antenna TV, right? Like, it turns on, it plays like all the D2 championships. Like, we've watched all the D2 lacrosse championships since 2019. We've seen all the women's basketball, all the men's basketball. We've seen D3 games. We've seen all the college football games because it's just on. So he's like all into sports. And so he woke up this morning. He's like, "Dad, is there any baseball on?" Yes, son. Yes, there is. And sure enough, he turned on the Padres Dodgers. We watched it for about 30 minutes before starting our day, and we were a little bit happier leaving the house. Granted, it's the Dodgers and the Padres, but Darvish got out of a bases loaded jam with a nice strikeout. I was like, all right, we're here. We're doing this. And it was awesome. Like,
one thing I was discouraged by is I was on ESPN's website pretty much all day, and every single article was about college basketball. And I love college basketball, March Madness, but there literally was nothing about baseball. And
that's the discussion.
That was a little sad.
Yeah, and that's the discussion. All the discourse on Twitter today was, I can't believe MLB is starting their MLB season in a foreign country at 3:00 in the morning on the day of March Madness. Are we mad at MLB for doing this?
Well, it's not even the day of March Madness. Like, it starts tomorrow technically, right? So you have an opportunity to highlight that today if you're ESPN, but I won't get into the ins and outs of whether or not ESPN is doing their due diligence and things like that. So we'll leave that for another day, but I digress.
Right. We definitely won't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like the fact that it started somewhere else. It's been something that they've always done. That's kind of, I mean, I think it was in Japan last year, the year before. And it's just always, there's a series that's about a week before, and it starts the season. It's like, all right, here we go. And I've always loved that, is making the the game a little bit bigger. You got Darvish versus Otani, like that's huge, especially for the Asian population over there. Like that's a good marketing campaign. Like there's nothing wrong with it. The only thing that I think I'm upset about is that you have two West Coast teams playing at 3 a.m. in the morning as their opening day. If you're in LA or San Diego or anything. But that would be my only gripe. For me, at 6 o'clock, it was fantastic. But 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't know.
Well, my other gripe is that Otani's in the news now for other unbaseball related things. So it kind of steals away from the fact that it's the first
right
MLB game, right? So it becomes the off the field stuff. So it's just kind of unfortunate. But I don't fault MLB for trying to expand internationally. Every single major sports league has been doing this for a long time. The NFL famously, they went to London. Now they're doing things in Mexico and all these other places, Germany. So
right,
all the leagues are doing it, right? And so
right, exactly. Like you can't be mad at it. So like, but people are mad like MLB didn't even market it, and it's just like I think marketing is a whole different thing that's happening now. Like if you don't follow the right accounts on Twitter, you're not going to know what's going on because live TV is not a thing anymore. Like that's as simple as that. Like you're not getting your advertisements in a way. Like I don't remember the last time I just sat down and watched ESPN. Like I just haven't.
And
so that's the only way if I'm not watching Twitter or MLB that I'm going to get that news. So like get off your high horse. I don't know. That stuff upsets me. That stuff's annoying.
Yeah, it is. And, I'm not a Dodgers fan or a Padres fan, so I'm not super glued into that. Like, I'm looking forward to the Rockies' first game here in a couple days, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, exactly. And I was right, just so you know. Matt on our Instagram chat says it was a spring training game a couple days ago with the nice lady that threw out the first pitch. So,
yep. Excuse me.
Yep. And just so you know what you're getting into for the next 45 minutes as James tries to talk and try to spew smart things, so to speak. But there's some good things about Rockies baseball, right? There's our baseball click, and that kind of leads into this question. Vic Lombardi, he's a Denver sports guy. I forget exactly what he does.
No, he's a sportscaster, and I grew up with Vic on 9 News in Denver.
Yeah,
when I was 12 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
So now he's working for Altitude TV, 92.5 in Denver, proud, all that kind of stuff, right? So He put this out there yesterday. So kind of going along that baseball conversation. I want to get your initial thoughts because I don't think you're on Twitter as much as I am, so you might not have seen it yet. But he says
it's called X. So if you could correct yourself,
I'm not
please.
doing that. You can zeet on out of here. Never in my life have I been more disconnected with the sport of baseball than I am right now. Not proud about it. Sad. Almost ashamed. I love the game. I grew up romanticizing the game. I barely carry anymore. What happened? I'll give you a few seconds to kind of bring that in a little bit. But what are your kind of initial thoughts on that?
My initial thought is you don't love the game if you're disconnected from it. So don't act like you love the game that you don't care about. I mean, right. You could go into a diatribe about every single sport. The NBA right now has a huge issue with refereeing. There's a lot of things not to love. The NFL, there's a lot of things not to love. So, I mean, if you want to pick gripes, we can do it with every sport from here. But yeah, don't say you love the game and you're disconnected from it because you don't.
Right.
You don't love the game then.
Exactly. That was my thought. And I thought it was kind of a subtle shot at the Rockies front office without saying the Rockies front office because he's in the position that he's in, which makes me even more annoyed. I don't know if I'm supposed to be taken that way. Again, I don't know Vic. I'm not trying to slander his name. I think it's more about just the comments about if you're saying you're romanticizing the game, it's so much easier, whether you're a Rockies fan or not, in the Denver area or not, it is so much easier to be a baseball fan now than it was when we were growing up.
No, and I would like to keep the receipt on that tweet probably because you have no idea what's going to happen throughout the MLB season. It's so long and there's so many different surprises that happen. So, if you remember the year that the Nationals won the World Series, for example, like nobody probably called that at the beginning of the season, right? So,
Nobody.
exactly. So you have no idea what's going to happen. And that's the beautiful thing about baseball is that you don't know what's going to happen. And midway through the season, or once we get into the postseason, and then surprises start happening, and then oh, boom! All of a sudden, you found that romantic feeling about baseball again. Don't come back and be like, oh man, I love baseball again. It's like, well,
But
you never really cared about it to begin with, if that's kind of your attitude.
but should we be mad if he comes back at baseball because of that?
No, I would invite him back with open arms. But the season is just getting started, and I don't know if his tweets specifically about Denver baseball or Colorado baseball, whatever. But it's an interesting stance to take right as the season's getting underway, and that's when people feel the most romantic about
Right.
baseball and the green grass and the fresh air and all of that, right?
Right. And that's the weird part about it, right? That's why I think
Yeah,
it's a shot at the Rockies. And everybody that has gripes with the Rockies and how they've handled it since 2020, whatever year Nolan got traded, I understand all that. I completely 100% get that. But like if you're a baseball fan and not just like a Rockies fan, like and you're still mad at the Rockies and like that took your love away from baseball, I don't know if you're really ever a baseball lover, so to speak. Like there's
yeah,
way too many personalities and way too many fun storylines. Every single game has something that you can go enjoy if you like the game of baseball.
right. And I think the Rockies over under in Vegas right now is like 60 and a half games or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to take the over, to be honest with you on that. But,
Responsibly. Yeah.
like every single team is thinking right now, like, this is the time. Like, this is us. Like, we can get after this no
Right.
matter what anybody's thinking about. So, like, if there's ever a time to be optimistic about baseball, whether it's a specific team or just the sport overall, it's right now.
Absolutely. 100%.
So, I I don't understand the gripe without any specifics. If he's not
Exactly.
providing any specifics, I don't understand the gripe.
Exactly.
Are there things wrong with the sport? Sure, we could dive into a lot of different things, but we could do that with all of the four major sports leagues.
Oh yeah, we could have a 4-part series about all the things that are wrong with baseball, but we can also have probably a 4-part series about all the things that are good with baseball, and now it's all happening. I don't know. It wasn't more about Vic. Like I don't think we're trying to throw slander at Vic. It's more about what the comment is about romanticizing baseball, the game I used to love, and now we're not all of a sudden, which is just weird timing and that kind of stuff. I just thought it'd be fun.
Yeah, not right now is the time to be
Be all
romantic
in,
about it.
right?
Yes, correct.
Right.
Yeah, if All-Star break, you don't want to be romantic about it, that's fine. But like right now's the time, man. I mean,
get into it.
yeah, let's go.
You had all of it right there in front of you, like Padres Dodgers this morning. Like that's almost enough for if you love the game of baseball. But
Sky's the limit. Yeah.
Sky's the limit. So I want to get your takes on this. So Tyler released an article, BlakeStreetBanter.com. It's called Storybook Scenario. So kind of if everything goes right, these are some storylines to watch out for. Like this is a nice little segue that I brought you here. I just want to get you, are you buying or are you selling? Nolan Jones breaks 30 home runs, plays better defense, and finishes with an over 5 WAR en route to his first All-Star appearance. Are you buying or selling that take by Tyler?
I'm gonna buy it. The only thing that I'm not buying about that is that he plays better defense. He won a Gold Glove, so
No, Nolan Jones didn't. You're thinking of Brenton Doyle.
Nolan Jones didn't win a Gold Glove.
Nope. He has a
He
cannon.
was a finalist, right?
Maybe. He might have been a finalist. Yes. Let's get a baseball reference on this. He definitely did not win a glove. Brenton Doyle did.
Are we talking about Brenton Doyle or Nolan Jones?
Nolan Jones.
He did not win a Gold Glove.
No. He was a
Are
third
you sure?
baseman before he became a Rocky, and then he played the outfield for the first time last year. I'm
I have to
100%
fact
sure.
check this. I'm not 100%.
He had 19 outfield assists, which was insane. He almost had a 2020 season in that sense. Maybe you're getting like all hyped up on that. But no Gold Glove dog.
Okay, well, he definitely is in the Gold Glove conversation.
Maybe his defense is still a work in progress. I mean, you're not alone. Grant also thought he won a Gold Glove as well. There's no way I messed up on this. So I think you froze on me as you tried to look up something on your phone, and it was just a terrible idea by you. So Nolan Jones, 30 home runs, plays better defense, and finishes with the 5.0 WAR. I don't know where the defensive run saved is. I'm also buying this. I think everything that he put out there last year, the sophomore slump is a little concerning. He has a pretty big, what do they call BABIP, balls that hit in play, big average with that. He still struck out around 30%. So there could be some sophomore slump ability, but the fact that he was still able to hit 250 with that 30% strikeout rate and still OPS 900 screams volumes about his talent. So, and doing that in his first year with the up and down that he had, I think is something that can't be taken for granted, and he should be bought. I think that 30 home runs in the All-Star game appearance is everything. And if he's hitting 30 home runs and playing better defense, he is easily a 5 WAR player, like without a doubt. So I am buying that storybook scenario. Miss minimum innings by 25 for Gold Glove. See, we don't need Mike. Lewis, you're fired. Thank you, Grant. Miss minimum innings by 25 for the Gold Glove. So he could have been a finalist. Maybe that was what it was too, with all the outfield assists as well. So buying on the Nolan Jones. Speaking of Gold Gloves, Tyler's hot take. Ezekiel Tovar hits 280 with a 330 OBP and has 23 home runs. Very specific with that number, while winning the Gold Glove at shortstop. Are you buying or selling that take?
I'm going to buy that as well. I'm going to buy that. I don't know about 23 home runs, but Gold Glove, shortstop caliber, obviously. Yes, I'm taking it.
You're buying it. I am very curious. Speaking of, I think I'm buying all of it. I don't know about the home run pop. Dude Man had 39 doubles last year, which was insane. Like, it's pretty much a rookie record. 37 doubles last year with 15 homers. So did he get a little bit stronger? Is he honing in into his dad's strength? That was new to him at the beginning in last year.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm hesitant about is the 23 home runs. Like, is he a 20 home run caliber person? Absolutely, but he seems more like a gap to gap type of player to me. So the doubles, I think he can obviously reproduce that. That's going to be part of his game. But hitting almost 25 home runs, that's
a lot.
Probably, yeah. It's a little much. So I will stay with the doubles. Gold Glove, absolutely within reach.
Oh, easily.
So yeah, I'll stay with that. And just a tangent off of that is that, Emil Amador, once he's MLB ready, Tovar's so good defensively that he would probably play second base. That opens up a different conversation,
which we're going to get into later. Nice little
yes.
Preview for our conversation later.
Correct.
Yeah.
And let me apologize really quick because I thought Nolan Jones had won a Gold Glove, but it's Brenton Doyle, and it's just so hard for me to comprehend that Brenton Doyle, who barely hit over 200, won a Gold Glove, and Nolan Jones didn't. When you saw all the highlights all the time about Nolan Jones and the outfield assists and
his
having the strongest arm. Yes, exactly. So, apologies.
We're over it. You were pretty close. Like, he could have been a selection, but Grant helped us out. He pulled a mic for us. Looked up. He was 25 innings short of being Gold Glove eligible. Nolan Jones was. So
Yeah, and that's absolutely within reach for him. So
right, with that cannon that he has and his defense just being able to roam the outfield, that he's slotted in as a left fielder right now. So it'll be interesting.
I mean, hang on, just think about that for a second. You have Doyle, you have Jones, you have Tovar, and then you have McBride, who is McMahon. Sorry.
And you got Brendan Rodgers, who is a Gold Glove. Then you got Tolia at first, who is Gold Glove caliber at first. If you need in there, you know, KB's gonna be there.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Gold Glove caliber the entire way.
And the fact that you only win 60 games is so
it's another
so
thing,
hurtful,
right? Like they kind of had that was kind of their like, all right, we're gonna just have great defense to help our pitching, and their pitchers are gonna pitch to contact. But then, like when you get that, like it was so hard to find Gold Glove caliber with Gold Glove platinum slugging bats, and you just couldn't find that mesh. Like the game plan by the Rockies has been that's been their game plan over the last 10 years, 15 years. Like good defense, pitch to contact. Let's get this the old fashioned way.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is in any given game, you just have to be better at it 2 out of 3 things, which is defense, pitching, and hitting. So the defense is clearly there. So in any given game, if you could just have the pitching or the hitting, the sky's the limit, right?
And that's where the struggle has been.
Yes.
All right. This is a crazy one. And I know this isn't really your cup of tea, but basically Tyler is saying that we'll see 6 debuts. Adele Amador, Drew Romo, Zach Veen, Jordan Beck, Joe Rock, and Carson Palmquist. Do we see 6 of our top 30 prospects all debut this year? That's pretty much what that comes down to.
Honestly, I'm going to say no.
More like top 15. Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. Jordan Beck is performing extremely well. So I really like that. Palmquist is a reliever. Relievers.
He's a starter. Reliever.
Right. Usually starters, when they come up, they start out and then right. So I like those 2 for sure. Romo is extremely interesting. I think that's within reach. Amador, while he's the most exciting prospect, I'm not quite sure that one happens. And some of the other ones, I'm not quite sure those happen. So I think at least 3 or 4 of those, but maybe not all 6.
I think 6 is a lot, especially with where Amador's at. He's still AA. Drew Romo will. Zach Veen might. Jordan Beck might. And I think Joe Rock and Carson Palmquist both could, just because pitching is a crapshoot every time.
And it's super interesting to talk about like a Jordan Beck versus Zach Veen, because Beck's been performing and Veen has the injury issues, but he clearly has the talent and all of that stuff, right? So it's just like, I don't know. It's pretty interesting to think about, but no, I don't think all 6 of those make it.
Right. I don't think so either. And Jordan Beck has some swing holes that he has to fix. Like his strikeout rate at AA Hartford was pretty extreme last year. Zach Veen's probably going to be in AAA. I'm not sure exactly. I think that's been announced, but I think Zach Veen's going to be in AAA and Jordan Beck's going down to AA, or I might have that backwards. So all 6 of those, I think that's one where Tyler misses, but it's a fantastic read. So that's a fun thing. And then the last take he has, this one's crazy. This one's a lot. So maybe buy each part of this, buy or sell each part. Freeland and Quantrell post a sub 3.5 ERA. Buy or sell?
I'm sorry, I'm selling that.
But yeah, that's extreme. Would you sub 4 ERA?
No, I'm selling.
Okay. Feltner hits 150 Ks.
Selling.
Lawrence picks up 30 saves.
Selling.
Bird records a sub 3.03 ERA.
Buying.
I think that one's mine too. And Jaden Hill and Evan Justice also make their bullpen debuts this year.
Buying.
Okay. I think I agree with all of you on that as well. I'm going to buy Feltner's 150Ks. His stuff is just nasty when it's on. And just kind of his I don't know, his plan of attack, so to speak, in spring training of just like going out and throwing and trusting the stuff, I think might translate to his pregame stuff and when it gets into the season, which I think helps his strikeout ability. So I'm going to buy the Feltner 150.
Okay.
Lawrence getting 30 saves is just, I think it's just hard for a reliever to get saves, 30 saves in general anymore, let alone for a team that is going to switch between Kinley and Lawrence.
Well, it's the frustrating part about that is that Lawrence, like his stuff is absolutely there. So you could see it happening, but for some reason it's just over the last couple of years hasn't been effective. And the spring training hasn't been all that friendly to him. So like I don't see him rounding that corner quite yet. It might happen mid-season or early season, hopefully.
He's close. Yeah.
But it's just tough for me to buy right at this moment. There's very few Rockies pitchers that have ever been below a 4 ERA. So if he had changed that to Freeland and Quantrell having a sub 4.5 ERA, I might have bought that. But there's very, very, very few pitchers in Rockies history that have ever had a 3.5 or below even a 4. I mean, as a Rockies pitcher, average MLB ERA is around 4. Mm-hmm. And then you take Coors Field into effect and all that. So like you have to elevate that even just a little bit more. So a 4.5 is what I consider to be like a good Rockies starter.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Like if you're around the 4.5, absolutely. Yeah, Tyler's just getting the juices going. He's excited. He's romanticizing about baseball. It's just if things hit, like all these little things could happen, and we're hitting 500 baseball, like, and that's pretty cool. And that's where we're at right now, right? That's where we can be right now, and that's where this is fun. So don't be coming negative Nancy with that stuff. Like we get to have our hot takes.
When you're talking about a 3.5 ERA, I mean, you're talking about Jorge De La Rosa, Ubaldo, maybe John Gray flirted with it or did it once.
Marvin Freeman probably did that one year.
Well, that was 94 in the strike season, and he had a 2.9.
Yeah, counts.
Yeah, which was amazing. But I mean, like he had the benefit of hitting a hot streak in the season that was cut short. Love Marvin. Nothing against you. Maybe you could have got the Cy Young that year or whatever. But yeah, facts are facts.
Right. Yeah. So it's just fun to talk about. So with that being said, he kind of gave his storybook fantasies. What is your hot take for the Colorado Rockies this year?
What's my hot take?
What's a player hot take?
Player hot take.
I'll go first while you think about it. I am jumping on board that Brenton Doyle figures it out, and he's going to be a 2020 guy this season. All of his metrics in the minors are exactly what he was producing at the major league level last year, and he was able to hit the home runs. He was a 2020 guy in the minor leagues pretty much every single season. He has the pop. He has a full year under it. His swing is getting better. He's cutting down on strikeouts. He's being more selective. And I think that can only translate to better things. And so if you're keeping that, and the dude man's just an athletic freak and he's fast as boy, like he's going to get you 20 steals easily. And I think the 20, he can luck himself into hitting 20 bombs just because he is that athletic. So my take, Brenton Doyle goes 2020.
Okay.
I'm going to tweet it right now, so it's on record. What's your hot take?
I think my hot take is that Kyle Freeland is in top 5 of Cy Young NL voting.
Okay.
And the reason is his velocity's back up to where it should be. and he's committed to a changeup. And I think he's going to be back in form to the pitcher that we saw a couple years ago, where he was an NL Cy Young candidate. We knew he wasn't going to win it, but he was in the conversation, and I think he could be in the conversation again this year.
I think that if there was ever a year, it's this year. I've really been impressed with this spring training. Just the uptick on velocity and, like you said, that changeup, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, and his control and his competitiveness and his love for his club. I think all of those are factors.
Yeah, and he's the vet. He's the grizzled vet. He knows how to pitch now, and I like that take. Top 5 in the Cy Young Sung race. I like that. It was so hot. You just had to switch it over.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a few more, then we'll get to the fan questions. We'll call it a night. Don't know how much we're going to talk about it, but some things are kind of coming together as far as the 26-man roster comes. Lambert, Hudson, and Feltner are continuing to fight for a 4th and 5th spot in the rotation. Noah Davis, who was my favorite, they has already been optioned down to the minors. But right now, it's those 3 guys fighting for those guys. Bud Black is on record, according to Patrick Saunders, that decision is going to be made in the next 3 or 4 days. So by the end of the weekend, by the 2nd round of the NCAA tournament, 3rd round of the NCAA tournament, we will know the Rockies rotation. Cool, right? I haven't been watching enough spring training. I haven't been looking at the numbers. I don't know enough about what's been going on. I know Lambert's looked all right. Hudson was pretty solid yesterday. Feltner, I think, is pretty much a lock going forward. So it's really, I think, Hudson or Lambert fighting for that 5th spot. And I think both are about where there's going to be. And I don't know where that's going.
So are we talking 2 out of the 3 making it, or just 1 out of the 3?
2 of the 3. Because you're going.
Right. Because
you have Freeland, Quantrill, Gomber. Gomber's been a little shaky, but he's got his spot. And then 4-5 was a 4-man race, but now it's a 3-man race.
Yeah, I think Feltner's one of them for sure.
Yeah.
The other 2 are really hard. Lampert, his spring training's been like all right, but he's still kind of working his way back, right? So I really liked him as a starter though before he had TJs, so I'm gonna go with him.
Yeah, I think I would like to go Lambert as well, but I think Hudson has a major league contract. Does he?
He most likely does.
In the offseason.
I'm just super scared about him because
it's just the contact and the velocity. Yeah, he has a MLB contract.
Yeah, so then it just comes down to what his options are, if he has any. Probably none. Well, without factoring any of that in, I'm doing Lambert and
let's stick with our guys.
Yeah.
The Rockies originals, right? The utility role has gotten a little feisty, so to speak, between Coco and Trejo. We're kind of the 1 and 2 going into the season. But our boy Aaron Schunk is knocking on the door, playing shortstop, getting people to notice him this spring training, which is awesome because love that man. He's on the cups of being a utility player. I don't think he makes it out of the gate, but I think Trejo is still that guy. No offense to Trejo, I love him and his personality and all that, but I think his leash should be a little bit short, where you're trying to see what you have as we're trying to be more competitive. I think we all know who Trejo is by now. Like, he's a serviceable 26-man guy, absolutely. But for friends of the pod, I think we kind of have to see what these young guys have coming up and like let them eat, so to speak, and give Coco more than 2-3 weeks to figure it out. Or if you're calling up Shunk, let him go out there and do his thing.
Yeah, I'm taking all the emotion out of it here. So Shunk is somebody that's going to be noticed, and they're going to keep eyes on him, but he's not making it out of the gate. Coco's somebody, you know, that we love and respect, and we want him to be on the squad. But when it comes down to everything that's being considered, Trejo is going to be that guy. And Bud Black loves, to your point, a serviceable middle infielder. And Trejo's it in his mind. I already know that. So that's going to be what it is.
Yeah.
Until at least start the season. So
I agree. Yeah. I wonder how long that leash, so to speak, is for Trejo going forward. Zimmer or Hilliard playing for that fourth man outfield. I could almost see a scenario where they don't take either one of those and they just let Tolia be the fourth outfielder, left-handed bat that they need going into the season with Sean Bashard, Tolia as the kind of outfield. I don't know. That's a whole thing too, because they can only.
Yeah, that whole thing is gonna.
What, they can keep 2 of the 4.
Yes, and that whole thing is gonna fluctuate. I mean, throughout the seasons. But if we're talking right now through opening day, Bradley Zimmer is going to be your fourth outfielder,
which is wild.
And the reason for that is he's performing.
Yeah,
he's just straight up. He's performing right now. If you want to get down to raw power, Hilliard has the advantage. Zimmer and Hilliard both have speed qualities. They're both great defensively, but at the end of the day, Zimmer's performing right now, and nobody else is. Yeah. Now, is he going to be able to keep performing? I have my doubts, as we probably, a lot of us do, given his track record, and that's why it's just going to keep fluctuating to whoever's kind of hot at the moment. And then when Bouchard or whoever else gets hot in AAA, then you're going to see some moves here and there, and then you're going to see somebody get DFA'd at one point, and that's just the business.
That's just the business. Yep. That's exactly what it is. And depending on the options that are available, I'm looking at Bouchard has 2 options. Monty has
so
0.
He's going to be up and down.
And Sam Hilliard, he is coming on a major league contract. He has 0 options, and that kind of gives him the nod. But I don't know if he makes it as a Rocky out at the end of spring training.
Well, I mean, think about him. I mean, this is it. Like, this is literally kind of his last MLB kind of shot.
Yeah.
And at some point when he's not performing and he's hitting a slump or whatever, and he ends up getting DFA'd, it's next guy up from there. I mean, I'm not trying to be negative. I love Sam Hilliard, but we're all giving him a lot of love because he's an ex-Rocky. But can he do it for 160 plus games,
But you don't need him to. That's the thing. Like, it's what kind of pop. What do you get the most bang for your buck on that late inning substitution, right?
Yes, he doesn't have to be an all-star player by any means, but he does have to keep up. He has to understand what his role is, and I'm sure he does, and Bud Black's communicated that to him. Yeah. But he has to execute that role to the maximum ability that he possibly can.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Right, and his power and speed is extremely valuable, but it has to show out, not every single day, but at least in those clutch situations or on Sundays when he's relieving whoever the right fielder is and this and that, right? So just got to put it together at least somewhat consistently. And that's why the Rockies moved on from him in the first place. So this is it. This is it for him.
Yeah. And but I think that there is why he might be the guy that comes out of, because he has just more late inning ability than Bradley Zimmer. Like, if I'm trying to win a game in this 8th or 9th inning, give me Sam Hilliard over a Bradley Zimmer.
Yeah, and I do agree with that on paper, but the reality is Zimmer is actually performing right now.
But who cares? Like on paper, and I get and I get that, but and I'm not like fighting this guy or that guy. Zimmer's performing, right? But it's spring training. He's hitting fastballs. Are his numbers better because he played at the beginning of the spring training where everybody's throwing fastballs? He's able to hit a CNI
Yes.
the other way.
Yes.
Where he came in late in the camp. And like there's all these other variables beyond just the number, especially when it comes to spring training. Hilliard has
right, and that's why I haven't even talked about the Tolia situation or anything like that, because you know the way that Bud Black is thinking. He loves the experienced guy, right? So it's really a conversation between Hilliard and Zimmer right now, and that's basically what it comes down to. It's one of those two right now.
One of these grizzled vets that is going to be the Jerkson Profar. Trejo's going to be the Castro, and it's just the grizzled.
And I hate to say it. I don't hate to say it, but the reality is it's going to Zimmer because he's performing right now. And that's my take.
I think you're wrong. I think it's going to Hilliard. I just think it is because he has the major league contract, he has the history, and he has a little bit more that you might need. So we'll just find out. We'll find out soon. I think camp is at 39 players right now. So there's still 13 players just kind of hanging out, and I think most of them are pitchers in the big league camp. So those decisions are going to be made. If the rotation is being made by the end of this week, you have to know who's on your team by this time next week. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays. And I'm going to be right. So with that being said, let's go to the fan questions and see if you can be wrong again.
I'm glad you're humble about it. Yeah.
It's the banter, big dog. It's what we do. Marie in Denver. I'm going to put this big one on you because I don't even know if I want to touch it. How is it possible we still have the owners we have and still have a baseball team?
Well, it's possible because Coors Field is the most beautiful ballpark in all of MLB. So it doesn't matter what product you're putting on the field, you're still going to sell tickets. And at the end of the day, it's a business, and that's what it is. And unfortunately, it's kind of all that matters.
I mean, that's why the question's so weird. Like, I get where the question's coming for, and I love Marie. She's been an OG for a while.
Owning an MLB team is not based on merit. So let's just remember that.
No, you showed up at the right time with the amount of money that you had, and you were able to get taxpayer dollars to build your stadium.
And the commissioner doesn't hand out performance evaluations at the end of the year. The commissioner works for the owners. So,
dude, what if you're regulated? What if we had a regulation system of owners in Major League Baseball?
That's just what it is.
The bottom three players, team owners in the whole league have to like go away, and somebody else has to be able to like fill in. Just a crazy ass regulation system.
Honestly, that would work much better in our situation.
I think it would, and like owners would have to like do cool stuff more often.
Well, it should just be like a publicly. I mean, if you think about it, the public pays for the stadium, so the public should probably just own the team.
The Green Bay Packers do it, and like, what if we had a vote, like who makes the squad, Zimmer or Hilliard? We just open it up to a Twitter poll, and that's just what it is.
Right, you'd have a shareholders meeting, and that's how you would make decisions on hiring and all of that stuff. That's a really interesting conversation. It's going to take much longer than what I have time for tonight, but
that would be
the unfortunate reality is just it's a business, and it doesn't matter how bad the Rockies are, they're going to sell tickets, and things will be fine from an ownership perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Lewis asked, did you watch the first game of the MLB season, conveniently taking place at 6 a.m.? We've already answered that. I did for a little bit. James did not. Chris wanted us to talk about Bradley Zimmer. We did that. Check. Next questions. We didn't get a lot of responses. This is a good one. And I think it kind of goes along with another late entry into Twitter. But Noah EDS from Instagram Who will be dealt at the deadline, and will the Rocks pick up any top 100 prospects in those trades? And you kind of look at the list. So with that, this kind of gives us a nice list to look at. Is Jackie, an OG on Twitter, kind of had that same questions. Who are your top 3 players most likely to be traded this year? And I think maybe that's the question that we can ask. She gave her thoughts. Elias Diaz, Ryan McMahon, Tyler Kinley, an honorable mention, Michael Tolia.
Tolia definitely not. So historically, the most precious pieces to be moved at the deadline are relievers that are performing very well. So a Kinley, who's coming back from TJ surgery and all of that recently, if he performs the way that he was before that, he would be the most valuable piece to be moved at the deadline for sure. And it's not just him. So yeah, so it's basically any reliever that's performing extremely, extremely well, because bullpen help and all of that is one of the most precious things that you can get at the deadline. I'm thinking about all the position players. We're fortunate to be young at everything, that I don't think it's worth kind of moving on from those pieces, or that they would be super valuable to anybody particularly. You think about starting pitching, Freeland's our most valuable player. He's a Rocky through and through, so it's really hard to see him. No, he's not. Definitely not. So it's definitely going to be a reliever or two, and I'm going to leave it at that. I don't see anybody else moving.
Yeah, I don't, especially at the deadline. I think Tyler Kinley, you can maybe see a Daniel Bard being moved.
A Bird, maybe, if he's performing very well.
I would be very curious how the Rockies would handle a fantastic Justin Lawrence and fantastic Jake Bird season. Like, do they move from those guys?
Yeah, Bird for sure.
They would. I don't think they would move from Bird.
I think it's possible, but most likely, no. I'm not going to say it's likely. And Lawrence, love you, dog. Don't get me started.
Yeah, I know. It's just, and that's what's hard. Like you do follow these players. You do like these guys. Like, I am romantic.
He's got to. The reality is, he just got to figure it out for a while before I can even entertain that. Like,
he'll figure it out. If anybody's gonna figure out, it's Justin Lawrence. I don't think we need to be worried about that. I do think
he's got the stuff. But
if there's a position player that gets moved, I think you could count on Brendan Rodgers getting moved. But I don't know. I think just because the contract situation, I think his contract's up soon. I wish I knew more exactly. I think it's either done at the end of this year or it's done at the end of next year. And so he's the position player that has the most value. He has somebody knocking at the door in Adele Amador. He could have, if he balls out, he could have some value. Second base is pretty light across the league. I could see them moving that. I don't think a catcher gets moved. I don't think Elias Diaz or Stallings gets moved. I just don't know if they're going to play well enough. Like, I think the Rockies missed the ball on moving Diaz last year. Stallings would get cut before he gets moved. Ryan McMahon's contract's too nice. I don't think he would get moved. KB's contract is too large. He doesn't get moved. I think the only position player you have that could possibly be moved would be, or Montero, just because they don't know what to do with him. But I think Brendan Rodgers would be probably like a 70% chance of being moved. And I think you get a top 20 prospect from an organization for that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Rodgers has a lot to prove. He's playing for money. He's trying to prove that injuries aren't going to slow him down. So that's interesting. I just don't think it's like a super value position for teams that are contending to give up pieces for that. So again, I'm just going to stay by that relievers are going to be moved, one or two, and that's it.
I will agree with your premise there. Yes, the relievers are the moneymakers. I was actually having that conversation with somebody at work today. I was like, you can, like he was talking, he's a Cubs fan. He's like, the biggest hole the Cubs have is the arm barn, the relievers. I was like, yeah, that's usually standard. And the good thing is, if they're contending, they're going to be able to go find a bunch of arms that they want and add to their squad at the deadline, just because that is what happens. And their farm is loaded and like they can move all that. So I think Tyler Kinley for sure is not a Rocky come August. And I think you could add one or two more in that list.
Yeah.
Last question, or hot take, I guess, so to speak. This is from he's a writer for us, Isaac. B-Rod will have the highest WRC plus on the Rockies in 2024. Speaking of what we were just talking about, RC plus is what, the 100 mark, right? What runs created.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to a corner outfielder or infielder, whoever that's gonna be. I don't know, but it's not gonna be B-Rod.
I think Nolan Jones.
Yeah, you can think about Nolan Jones. You can think about a Montero if he figures it out, right?
They let him figure it out.
Yeah, I like B-Rod in a lot of ways, but it's going to be a corner outfielder infield spot.
Just somebody with a little bit more pop, I think. It's going to hit. And Nolan Jones' 30 home run season is going to kind of take that cake, so to speak. And then I guess let's end it with this. I'm not going to be able to throw up the picture, but the Spokane Indians have released a new alternative logo. I'm going to put it in the chat, I guess. It is the Cafecitos of Spokane, which is pretty cool. It's a coffee mug with a sombrero, like what's the little hat? It's not a sombrero hat. What do they call it? It's kind of like the straw hats. I was trying to find it real quick, but it's awesome. It was created by Brandios. Some of the money goes to a soccer program up in Spokane that helps kids be able to play soccer. Helps kind of fund that piece of it. A local youth soccer organization that provides free development opportunities in the Spokane Hispanic community, which is awesome. Bright colors, bright orange, yellow. The mug is on there. It's a coffee. It's awesome. And Spokane finally got their food alternative logo, and it's absolutely insane. So I'm sure if you've been following us, you've seen us retweet it and whatnot. And if not, just go find Spokane, and they have it up there. It's awesome. Were you able to see it?
No, I didn't see it in the chat, but I will definitely go look that up ASAP.
Please do. And we now have all of the affiliates now have a food alternative. So you got your green chili burgers in Albuquerque. You have your steam burgers and your bouncing pickles in Hartford. You have your coffee in Spokane, and then you have your Fresno tacos down in Fresno. So we finally hit all the board across the meal, so to speak. And I'm here for it. Opening day is next Thursday. Starts at 10 o'clock Eastern. Going to be able to stay up late because I don't have to work that Friday. It's going to be awesome. And that's also where we're going to start our 2 pod a week next week. So me and Tyler will jump on Thursday of next week. A little scheduling thing. Probably hopefully get the Fresno guys on, talk about the Fresno Grizzlies a little bit. And then we'll get into the season where James and Noah will pop on at the end of the week. And then me and Tyler will jump in on Sunday, and it'll just kind of be a revolving door, Friday morning, Sunday night, kind of going through the season. So bear with us as we kind of figure out the kinks and whistles with that, and let's just go have fun. Anything else for the good of the cause?
No, it's going to be a fun season, no matter what Vic Lombardi says.
Go Rocks! Woo! Thank you for watching and listening.